so we will just follow our schedule, and the next presenter for today is Dr. Voeikov. And if I'm right according to the schedule, just just double check the schedule, and I will just check who is gonna be next in order not to mix the schedule. Okay, it's Ana Maria Oliva. Okay, so in order to secure the internet connection, we have recorded the videos and presentations. So I will just turn on the video and you will watch it as if it is on your screen without any comments from us. And that's it. You can still post your questions in the chat on YouTube and here in Zoom. You're welcome. Okay, so
hello, I'm Ana Maria Oliva, and I'm very glad to be here with you sharing what has been my experience in this almost 18 years using this wonderful tool that is BioWell. And I want to start explaining a little bit about me. I come from a technical background. I'm an engineer, and my specialty was in mechanics. And well, I was working a few years, and I was being a teacher for many years, and it came a moment in which I had a change in my life, in which let's say that I was more sensitive to energy. So I started feeling the energy, and I started learning how to work with this, what we say subtle energy. And we use subtle because it's something that goes beyond what we can measure or not, because what we are going to see and what you know is that we can measure some octaves of that energy. So it came a moment in which I had that knowledge about how to work with the energy. And since I'm an engineer, I was very interested in finding what the science knows, and what does the science know, and what does the science say about energy. So since I have a master in biomedical engineering and my PhD in biomedicine, exactly in the border between electromagnetic devices and life, well, it came a moment that this wonderful tool that we call BioWell came to me. And when this came to me, I was totally in love with this technology because it allowed me to show what I was perceiving. It allowed me to see the invisible. And this is really powerful because well, we know that, or at least I love science, and at this moment it seems that everything that is not scientifically proven doesn't exist. But at that moment, I could find something that had a scientific background, that had publications, that was validated, and that could show me, and it allowed me to show to other people what is happening in this invisible kingdom that we can feel, but sometimes it's not so easy to share and it's not so easy to show. So I want to begin with this quote from Richard Feynman, because I like to say that I'm not here to convince anyone. Then I will explain to you why I do things, but for me it's very important to say, okay, here we have a knowledge. I have, as Richard Feynman says, I have approximate answers, possible beliefs, and different degrees of uncertainty about different things, but I am not absolutely sure of anything, and there are many things I don't know anything about. But know what? I don't feel frightened because I don't know some things. I just want to share what I've learned, just in case that it can be useful for you, it can inspire you to just try different things in your own life. Why? Well, because as we can see, and we see that nowadays even more clearly than in other moments in our history, at least, the history that we know, we are in a moment in which there are a lot of suffering. So I compare what is happening with this image that you have here. Here you can see a dark sea where people are swimming. They don't see anything. They are just following the school of fish. They are just blind swimming. But these fish are also being transformed into ducks, probably, that are just flying under the sun. And what moves me, what drives me to do what I'm doing during all these years that I'm sharing this information is that we stop swimming in a dark, black sea without seeing anything. And we start just flying free under the sun and enjoying this journey that we call life. So everything that I do it because I've seen people suffering so long and so deep, and I want to add something for this suffering, and that's why I do what I do. And why do I love technologies, and why I started loving also Biowell when I found it a lot of years ago. Well, it was the GDB version of the system. Well, I will explain with this slide. And here it's very easy to see. What do we have here? Well, we have a chess board, and here we have two squares. One says A and the other one says B. So I can ask you, do you think that the A square and the B square are the same color? And you will probably say no. Okay, so what happens if I start putting things that take you out of your references? Now I ask you again, do you think that the A square and the B square have the same color or have different color? And this is the typical visual paradox. You can find that in the Wikipedia. As you can see, I'm just using the same background. I'm just adding some pieces of black. And the A square seems black. The B square looks like white or gray. But suddenly we see that they both look like the same. So what is it? Are they the same color? Are they different color? Which is the truth? So when I cannot find the truth by myself as now, because now I see that they are identical, but if I remove this, they are totally different. So which is the truth? So what I do is go into a technology and I ask the software, okay, can you tell me which is the A color? They say that in hexadecimal. So which is the A color? And the A color is going to be a number, and the B color is going to be another number. So now I ask you, what do you think? Is going to be the same color? Is going to be different one? We're going to ask the software. And the software says that the A square is this number, and the B is the same number. Well, it's not exactly like this because it has a degradation of the gray, but we can see how our eyes and our perception sometimes make us a little bit of noise. It makes that sometimes we cannot distinguish clearly. That's why I like when I can have a technology that helps me in understanding what sometimes I cannot understand by my own self. And this is the reason why I use technologies many times. So my first approach, as I was telling you, was with Biowell, with the GDB old version. And well, it was awesome for me because I received this technology while I was doing a course in subtle energy. So I saw someone that was using this technology to show us how important are pranayama, the breathing techniques. And when I saw the change in my own energy before and after these breathing techniques, it was like, wow, this is amazing. This is awesome. This is something that allows me to see so many things that is worthy to start understanding a little bit more, or which is the effect that each single thing has in my own life. And then I started a real journey testing, well, first of all, buying the GDB, of course, and second, testing everything that I could find in my daily life about before and after that. It could be before and after working with my computer. It could be before and after a breathing technique, a yoga class, drinking magnetized water, or whatever I could find in my daily life and in all my students' life. Because at that moment I was still a teacher and I was still in a very close contact with many people at the same time. So what I did was that I started taking pictures of many of my students, and since I know my students, I know how they are, I know what they are struggling with, so it was very helpful to do this kind of reverse engineering, if you want to call this way, because I knew the person, and when I started watching the images, I start connecting the information that I knew about that person with the information that I was finding in my images. So it was very interesting. It was very nice. At that moment, you know that there was not so many training courses about GDB, so it was a little bit like self education. And in this case, I did it like this, like a reverse engineering, reverse understanding of what was happening. And it was very nice because it gave me a very solid feeling and confidence in this tool, which is what we basically need when we want to work with a tool, that we can trust that. Okay, so now I'm going to be just a little bit, just some little points about science, because I love science, and of course this can be understood only if we expand our normal paradigm into something that is a little bit deeper or broader, because our normal paradigm is only based on matter, is only based on biochemistry and physicality. So we need to understand that the three basic elements in physics, I'm not talking about medicine or just human nature, I'm talking about everything that exists, can be considered like with three different elements. One of them is the physical body, another one is the energy, the vibration, and another one is the informational field. So we have matter, we have energy, and we have information. But the hierarchy is exactly the opposite. First, it comes the information that directs the energy towards a certain places, and this energy, it comes a moment that becomes physical. And this happens in everything that exists, and this can also be understood as different octaves. And for me, the big challenge that we had 18 years ago and we still have, and especially at this moment that we're struggling with very, very, let's say, biological, physical or mechanical things in our paradigm, in our medicine, and everything that is happening now, the big challenge is to have an integrated vision about what is happening. And I compared that with a piano that has different octaves. The notes are the same. We build the whole, we create the whole music, all the different songs with just 7 notes, and are always the same. In Spain, we call them do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si. And then we have this pattern or these notes that are repetitively increasing in frequencies, and we call that different octaves. So we can consider that we have different octaves in ourselves too. We have a physical octave that can be like the lowest, the more dense octave. Then we have an energy octave, we have emotions, and we have mental issues, and we can even consider the spirit. And what we need to know is that the information in each one of these octaves is not different from the rest. It's the same notes. The same do has a physical component, has an emotional component, has a mental component of, if you want. The same emotion has a physical component, has a mental component, and every thought becomes something emotional, becomes something energetic, and becomes something physical. And what we need to understand is that everything goes together. Okay, and our different octaves are harmonics of that. So my question has always been, since I was very young, my question was always, okay, it came a moment when I was a child that I realized that I wasn't a person different from my mother. And since that moment, I'm still asking to myself, who am I? Who am I? What is being alive? What is life about? What is being a human being? What is consciousness? And we know that in science there are small questions that we spend a lot of time on that, sometimes a lot of money too. That is which is the metabolic path for the sugar synthesis or whatever, or which is the effect of this pill or this drug, or yes, these are small questions that we spend years and years trying to understand. But there are also these other big questions, like I'm saying, what am I? What is life about? That can also be addressed, if not answered, using science. And that's the kind of science that I love, the science that helped me to understand better who am I. So in this understanding that we have now, that we know that we are not just matter, that we are not just a body, we can understand that we have a consciousness that can be connected with this information, that in the hierarchy is the one that is directing the energy in our mind, in our emotions, in our physical body energy, that finally will become what we see as matter. And everything is connected. It's just like harmonics. It's just different octaves of the same information. It's not something different. One thing is not different from the other thing. And there is a whole new paradigm in which there are many, many scientists that are putting their grains of sand in this super big understanding of life from another point of view that is less materialistic and much more energetic. Of course, Konstantin Korotkov, thank you for introducing me to this wonderful language of energy with your wonderful tool. There are other scientists that here you have some of the names that I consider like the superheroes of my own galaxy. And when I wrote my first book, which was forward by Dr. Professor Korotkov too, this what your light says about you, that is a trip, is a journey from technology to consciousness. I explain a little bit of this science before starting explaining and sharing a little bit what I'm going to share with you today in this talk. Okay, so one of the first things that I realized when I started seeing these images from energy is that energy doesn't judge. And sometimes we are not so conscious about what is energy telling us, or what is our energy saying. Here you're going to see different versions of the software, because I've been using this GDB system since a lot of years ago. So you're going to see different pictures. And here, for example, you can see these three pictures that are showing different levels of energy. And what I want to say with these conscious emissions is that we are experts in lying ourselves. We can convince ourselves of something and exactly the opposite, because we are masters in lying ourselves. But energy doesn't lie. So I can think that, yes, I'm very glad to meet you again. You find someone, you meet someone in the middle of the streets, and suddenly you say, yes, I'm glad to see you again. How are you doing? But in fact, you are not glad to see that person again, because you are still feeling a strong emotion towards that person. So what happens there? That even if you are smiling, even if you are saying, yeah, and being very nice and very polite, your energy probably is saying another thing. And there is a connection, and there is an interaction, and there is a conversation between both energies that is going to say the real truth and not what our words say. So I started, as I mentioned, working with anything I could find surrounding me that was how things affect me. what was my purpose? And this is something that I want to strengthen, and I want to tell you very clearly. I see many times, almost all the time, how people give their own power to the rest. That means that I let the TV scare me. I let a person make a decision in my name. You know, I let other people to do other things that's my responsibility, because I'm an adult person. And being an adult person means that I'm not going to do everything alone by myself, because there are many professionals that can help me in doing things. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to give my power to the other person. I still can say something. I still can question something. I still can ask you but what do you think? And I can tell you what do I think. But the first thing that I have to do is learning, how does my body work? How do I work? And I know that we are not just a physical body. We also have emotions, and we also have energy and mind and spirit. So we have different octaves, and we need to know how all of them work. So I started measuring before and after many different things in my own self, and of course in many other people, because, well, I wanted to have my own knowledge about how to come back to being responsible, how to know which is the price that I pay for living the way I'm doing. And once I know that, I can do something to change it. But first of all, I need to be aware. I need to be conscious. And I put here me in capital letters. How does it affect me? Sorry that there is an overlap with the image. I put the me in capital letters because this is not exactly the scientific method. This is not exactly science. This is a pedagogical experience, if you want. Because I didn't do control and groups. I didn't have enough statistics to publish a paper with that. My concern wasn't at that moment to publish anything about this. It was just being aware and giving people tools so as they could see, look, this is what happens, or this is what happened to me or to that person when he or she did this. But know what? We are quite similar. We are quite our behavior is many times quite similar. We are not so different one from the other. So let's start with this. How do things affect me? And I'm going to start with one of the questions that at that moment I was concerned about. That was, oh my God, I work a lot in front of the computer, and how is it affecting me? So I did a before and after. You can see here, I don't know if I can record the mouse. I don't think so. Well, here you have the before at the left side and the after at the right side. This camera has the opposite. So this is the before and this is the after of myself a lot of years ago, as you can see, because in the software. And before and after working 1 hour at the computer. So, well, I always felt that the computer was making my head like heavy, that creating a headache and like a lot of energy here. And you can see that yes, basically is this. And of course, this energy is here because it has disappeared from other places. Well, at that moment, probably I was also a little bit upset because you can see some flames that come from the liver area, but I'm not going to go so deep in the interpretation. But it allowed me to see that, okay, I was one of the person that sometimes think that if you are vibrating in love and if you're passionate what you're doing, things don't affect you so much. And that's probably true, but we need to know that things also affect us in a daily basis. So it can be that one day I'm super excited, it doesn't affect me so much, but another day I can be not so excited. And I have to know that there are certain things that interfere with my own energy. So here you have the first image of myself with the energy being interfered because of the electromagnetic field of the computer, and also probably because of being sitting down, static, in my chair and probably very focused in something that I was creating at that moment. So it's not just one single thing. But here we can see the first change. This is awesome. This is Julio. Julio is one of my students that now he's a psychiatrist. He has finished the school and the residence and everything. I'm talking about images that are really, really old, but I love them because I still love them because I think that are so useful to know ourselves more. So here you have Julio. And Julio has a before and after measurement of many things because he was helping me a lot. And in this case, I was just putting him listening the statics in a radio. It was only noise, but it was not the noise as I have now in my home that someone is drilling the wall because they are doing works. It was just the static noise of the radio during 5 minutes. But the thing is that he's a musician. He also plays the violin and the piano. He's a very good musician. So, of course, he's very sensitive to music and to noise. We were playing a lot. We were taking images before and after each kind of music that he was playing. It was awesome. And in this case, it's just the noise. And here you have the before and you see the after. And it was very nice because with this image, what we can realize is that something as simple as living in a big city with lots of noises or working in a lab that you have always the fan that is working, this can totally drain your energy. It doesn't mean that it always happens again. I'm not talking about scientific research in which I've done this with controls and with placebos and with, no, I haven't done that. But I've done that enough times to realize that this is a truth for many people, that just being with lots of noise, physical noise, can create that your energy disappears, that your energy is drained, and that you get tired and even you get sick, because what we know is that this energy field that is surrounding us and it's inside us is protecting us, is nourishing us, and at the same time is protecting us from everything that comes from outside. So here you can see that the second image, the person is much more vulnerable than the first, just because of being 5 minutes listening to noises. So now you can try to feel yourself when you are in front of a noise. You can try to feel and say, how do I feel with this? Do I feel tired? Yes. So what can I do? Sometimes it's as easy as putting earplugs and that's it. Like in the labs, that is very easy because we always have the fans that are working because of the extraction of the chemical substances, but sometimes just putting headphones, you can improve a lot your energy, but you will not know that unless you pay attention to it. You know, that's what I love. I think that now you're getting my passion of showing this because it was so extremely useful for me to understand more about my own self, how my body is working, and how can I improve and optimize my own health. So let's continue with more images. The noise in the systems. Look at this old version of the software. We can see that it's affected before. It's in this orange and after is in this kind of purple. So you can see how the energy that was more or less in the standard zone, in the normal area, it becomes suddenly dropped. And it's not only in one system. Of course, each person is different and each one of us have systems that are weaker than the rest. So this is going to affect specifically to the places that in my structure are weaker. If I'm a person that I'm easily upset, probably my weaker point is the gallbladder or the liver. So probably everything is going to go there. Everything is going to impact there. And the same stimuli, the same noise, another person can affect to another place because this is the weak spot. I always say that when we have a chain, the chain is broken always in the weakest link, not in the link that I'm doing the strength or doing the effort. Is in the weakest link. So this is what is happening to him, that he's losing energy in many systems, and in some of them he's losing more energy, probably because he got upset with that. Okay, and this is another person listening another thing. Music is great because it has a strong effect on our energy. So here you have another person. This person is called Javier, and Javier was listening for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, a song that is spillover from the band that is called Rammstein. And here this his image, as you can see, was this one, and after the music was this other one that, as you can see, is weaker, is more vulnerable, is more broken, is not as, let's say, homogeneous like this. It's not that it's extremely homogeneous, but it's quite continuous, and we love this, like the bottom, this bottom part in which we have the light blue and the dark blue, and everything is continuous, is homogeneous, and then you see that this is suddenly broken. Okay, so what happened with this? And I asked him, what do you think about this music? And he told me, I like it. And I say, really? So let's see if your buddy likes this music or not. And according to this image, what we can see is that this music had an impact on his energy, and it was an impact that was not exactly harmonizing. Okay, it was something that was breaking his energy, even if he didn't realize, if he didn't know that. So then I did the same experience with a very young girl. She is about 15 or 16 years old. And I did the same. You can see here the first, at the left side, you can see the first image that is this girl is a teenager. So it's normal that they have this kind of chaos in the energy. This is quite usual, at least my experience with teenagers, that is quite big, says that most of them have a lot of challenges. The energy is changing very quickly, and they are challenged because of many things in their lives. So I asked her, can you please listen for this music? And then you have the second image in the middle. Wow, this is not beautiful. And she told me, I don't like that music. So can I put now my own music because I love this? And say, yes, of course, do it. So we have at the left the first image that is the original image. Then after the first music that she didn't like, and her body didn't like either, her energy didn't like it. And then we have the third image that was just 3-4 minutes later. The difference in time from one image to the other is only 3-4 minutes, what the music lasts. And in this last image, in this last picture, we can see how her energy was much stronger, and was stronger just because she was enjoying that music, and that music had a strong effect on her. So now you can ask to yourself, okay, do I really like what I'm listening? Does my body really like what I'm listening all the time or not? It doesn't mean that this song is good for everybody all the time, but it would be great if we could connect with ourselves enough to realize if what I'm listening is really good or not for me. Wow, this is one of the images that everybody asked me to show. And at the same time, I was also wanting to show and to see. This is the effect of a cell phone call when we still had the GSM, I think it is. It's like the first, second, when we only had SMS messages and phone calls. It was not with data, it was not 3G, 4G, nothing like that. It was much simple than this. So here you can see a person before and after a phone call. It is, I have to tell you, that it's a phone call without content. Okay, it's not that it's someone telling you something. She was just holding the cell phone close to her ear, and someone was calling her. That's it. We know that the moment that the cell phone is connected with the station, because there is a phone call, is a strong energy and strong, yes, electromagnetic emission. So that's what she was swallowing. She was receiving. It was not that there was any conversation that can create an interference with the content. No. So here you can see her energy and her energy here, and in the right side you can see how she loses energy. So this is happening all the time to everybody. I haven't measured everybody all the time, but I've measured enough people before and after the same phone calls, so as I can tell you, yes, they interfere a lot with us. It can also happen that you receive a phone call and they are telling you the best news ever. And this is going to compensate, probably the emotional part of that is going to compensate the radiation. But what is clear is that living surrounded by so many artificial electromagnetic waves is not exactly healthy for ourselves. As you can see here, this person becomes more vulnerable, becomes weaker. But not everything is about being weaker. Sometimes it's also about being stronger. So this is a girl that was just playing. What does playing mean in this context? She was with her boyfriend and they were just like dancing and having fun and doing like, you know, silly things, not something specifically planned. It was, in fact, she was waiting. She is Julio's girlfriend. She was Julio's girlfriend, and she was waiting that I finished all the research with Julio, and she was a little bit like tired of that, as you can see in the first image in your left side. You can see that she's tired and she's like, let's see what happens here, because we were having such a great time doing these kind of experiments that, well, we were enjoying. So time flies when you're having fun, but not so not so quick for persons that are waiting for us. So in the moment that I let them together and they start just like, yeah, just hugging each other and playing a little bit. So look at the change in her energy. This was awesome, because here is when you realize how powerful we are and how easy it is to get your energy better, to be stronger. We just need to have fun. We just need to enjoy with our friends and with our girlfriends and boyfriends and with our family. We just need to enjoy, because this is going to make us stronger. Sometimes we are looking for, you know, we go into the rabbit hole trying to find the solution for something, because it seems that everything makes us weaker. Everything that I'm showing you makes us weaker. But you know what? It's so easy to be stronger too. We're going to go back on this later. I want to continue showing you other things. Our beloved ones. This is again Julio's girlfriend and me in this case. And here, that I said, two people, they don't know each other. It was the first time that I met her. He was my student, but I didn't know her. So here we put together the two fingers inside the device. And as you can see, there is kind of corridor, white corridor without energy between she and me, or her and me. There is no energy, no common energy. There was like kind of rejection of the energy. It seems that she was not so happy with me. And when I put they both together in the same image, you can see how one of them is hugging energetically the other one. So here you have two people with a close relationship. So during a few months, I was doing that with couples. I was just playing with it, and I was just taking images before and after. They both together and seeing what was happening. But I decided that it was not a good idea, because sometimes, well, the images were not so beautiful to see or to explain. So I decided that I don't want to be part of any divorce. So I'm not going to show you more these kind of images. Okay, and this is something that is wonderful, that is great. For me, it's awesome. I put here on the top of the image, you will recognize that is the typical crystal, water crystal that Masaru Emoto did in his super pedagogical research that was about this, the messages in the water. I was thrilled with that book. It totally blown my mind up, because it was amazing to find this, to see how the different things were affecting the water structure, especially taking into account that we are 70% water. So then I was inspired by his way of doing things, and I started doing my own research and say, okay, let's see what happens with the words. So I was in a classroom at a school. I was doing a research there. I was doing a kind of workshop 3 hours, and we were doing some tests live. I explained a little bit about energy. I showed them some pictures, and then we were doing this kind of tests, and we were doing that live. So here you have a person, a boy, that he's young, he's probably 14 years old, his energy is kind of messy, right side tired, so probably he's been doing a lot of things. And then I asked him, okay, what do you want to do? And most of the people told me, were telling me, I wanna dance, or I wanna listen to this music. Some people want to just run outside in circles outside the school. And this guy told me, yes, I want my friend to insult me. Well, this is not the most beautiful thing I can do with children, but let's do it. Let's see what happens. It was risky because it was the first time I was doing that. It was risky, but it was worth it to do it because they went outside and they started saying horrible words one to the other. But you know, when you listen a horrible word and then a laugh, so their intention was not insulting the other person, but just laughing at me. They were trying to, to say, well, she's crazy, we are going to destroy her experiment. So they were doing this, and it was awesome because then they came back and I took the picture, and I didn't analyze the picture. I just took the picture and I kept that there. And I say, now go outside and say beautiful things to each other. So they did exactly the same. They went outside and they did beautiful things, but just one word and one laugh. It was just laughing. Okay, so look at this because it's quite awesome. After saying bad words, you can see how the left part of the image is being broken. The left part is more about emotions. So the whole left part of the image, as you can see, was broken. So even if there was no intention, the word has a power itself. And that's great to know because that way we can be more aware of the way that we are using the words. This is something that Masaru Emoto demonstrates it too. But for me, it was awesome to see this because it was the first time that I was doing that, and I was doing that live, so it could haven't worked, but it worked. And after that, I did the second measurement that was after beautiful words, and guess what happened? If I put it, that the energy, let me put it big, that the energy, the whole energy was again reconstructed, was rebuilt, and it was even stronger than it had been previously, that it had been at the beginning. So look at this super interesting information that I got at that moment 15 years ago live in a school with teenagers. That was, let's take care about the words we say, because it's not the same saying one word than the other, even if we have the same intention. Because many times that we say that the power is in the intention, well, here we are seeing that the words without an intention, they also have power. So probably it's worth it to start learning something about the neuro-linguistic programmation and things like that, because it's going to be extremely useful and empower for us. Playing games. Does it happen every time to everybody? No, but I've checked that many times. Here you have a guy, a boy that is with his energy, with his messy energy, and after 10 minutes playing with the PlayStation. Does that mean that the PlayStation is like evil? No, but this means that for this person playing at the PlayStation was not the best way of spending leisure or free time. It was not the best idea. And this happens many times when we are playing or doing activities that we have a limited time to do it. When they can control our minds, they can control everything, because the time is the atmosphere of the mind. So when they are controlling your time, when you have just limited time to finish this exam or this test, or you have a limited time to fulfill this in this screen, wow, this is a strong stress for the body. This is super strong stress. So here you can see that this was stressful for this person. I've also seen other people that once if you have a lot of worries and then you just play a game and you can focus in something that is far from all your worries and concerns, it can also make that your energy becomes stronger. But we need to know that it can also make you weaker. So it's worthy to know it and to try to at least to be aware of that, so as we can decide at every moment what we think is better. Smoking cigarettes, just tobacco, is it good, is it bad? So this was a very nice image before and after, and the first thing that it shocked me was that the energy field looks much stronger in terms of amount of energy. And it was nice to discover, because this is what we call addiction. Exactly. Your body is missing something. When you give this something to your body, woo, feels fulfilled or feels completed. But you must know that you pay a price for that. And the price is all the filters in your body that are burning at this moment. So this is what happens when this person was smoking. Here we can see the effect of an addiction, let's say the apparently positive effect of an addiction, and we can also see the price we pay for doing what we do. And if what we are smoking is not only tobacco, sometimes other things can happen too. In this case, here we have a pattern of this person, that it was a nice pattern. These are the original images. Now with the Bible, we are not so used to see these images, but the GDB old users, I'm sure that they will recognize this very easily, because we were used to watch these images before they were processed. So here we have these nice eclipses. Here we have these nice images, and before and after smoking psychoactive substances. So at this person, at least, and I have repeated that many times, these things that alter the biochemistry of their brain, they also alter the energy, making them weaker, making them more vulnerable, making them less strong. That is the same, that weaker. Okay. And if we go to different substances, then things become more and more difficult. But this is another rabbit hole, and I don't want to go there now. I'm open to work with this and do research with someone if you want, because I've done my own research on this, but it's not something that can be considered like science. I'm just going to tell you that this also affects us a lot, much more than people would think. That's why I want to show all this stuff, because I want people to be aware. I want people to be aware that everything we are doing has an effect on our health. So when people tell you, no, this is not going to change anything, no, it is going to change anything. It's going to change many things. So you have to know that, and then you will decide if the price is worth the effect or not. That's your decision. That's why we are adults and we make our own decisions, but we can only be free if we start having knowledge. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult. So this was another awesome test that I was doing in a family, because after the PlayStation boy that was playing, and this was, I mean, I have so many experiences, and I have enjoyed so much doing this work or playing this game with the Bible, that I have so many things that I could explain to you. So in the same family that had the boy that was playing with the PlayStation, and that the parents told me, just show him how bad it is that he spends so much time playing with the PlayStation. And I say, yes, I can show that, but you are his father, so you can also tell him and put some limits, because sometimes we want other people to do what we should do, because setting limits is something that the parents should do. But anyways, I was I was explaining them, I was showing the pictures, and the boy saw that he loses energy playing the PlayStation, so everything was perfect. But the unexpected happened. That was that the child asked me, better said, can you measure my father when he drinks, you know, this kind of strong alcohol that is distillated alcohol. I don't know the name in English, but it's kind of gin or something like that. It's like pure alcohol. And I did a video that was very, very nice, because it was, the father was sitting, and I started recording the middle finger that we know here. We have the cardiovascular system, we have the liver, we have many things there that we can see. And I was recording dynamically with a GDB device that finger, taking video. And at that moment, the wife came to him, gave him the glass, he drank the glass and let it again back and went. It's a pity that I've lost these videos, because it's an old, I'm talking about 15 years ago, when my computers, I've changed many times, and some of the images are lost. But it's a pity. What I have is this image, because I was using that in other lectures. So here what we see is that his first energy level was the red one. Okay, we have this graph here. The red levels is how it changes with time. It was before, when he was sitting. And then while he was drinking, it is the blue. And after that, we have the green. So we have a big drop of energy while he was drinking this strong alcohol. And then he recovered a little bit, but not enough. But what was very interesting was seeing how the body was reacting even before he was drinking. Just as the beverage, this alcohol, was coming to him and he was holding with his hands, the energy started changing. It was super, super interesting experience. And this is also something that I like. When someone came to me to tell me, I'm very concerned because my child has a lot of problems. And well, I took the image of the child, although we know that it's not so easy to understand the children's energy. So I took his picture, and then I told him, I wanna measure you too. He said, yes, of course. So we are going to compare the energy of your child, because he was concerned. Oh, look at this. There is a strong challenge here in this tail that we can see here, and this is broken, and blah blah blah. And say, okay, I'm going to check you. So I checked him, and as you can see, the child was just reflecting, mirroring his own energy. So this was very, very interesting for me, that at that moment I still didn't have children, to realize that our main responsibility as parents, as teachers, as caregivers, as therapists, is being okay ourselves, is fixing our own problems ourselves. In this case, the child was just mirroring the problems that his father had. So, well, let's start working in our own selves before we want to change the world. Okay, so caregivers, parents, teachers, therapists, let's take care of ourselves. This was a terrible and super sad image that I took in a place I was collaborating with, that these are the caregivers, these are the people that were taking care of about 25 children that were diagnosed with HIV. And it was a kind of, not a clinic, but it was a, I don't know how to say that, a house where the children were there because the parents couldn't take care of them. And these were the images from the people that were taking care of those children. So for me, it was super sad, because it was like, oh my God, you cannot even hold your whole life. So how are you going to take care of anyone else? And this is a warning for me, because it's like, we cannot give what we don't have. It is very good to have a noble heart and to be compassionate and to try to help each other and to try to save the world. Okay, so if you think that that's your mission, good luck. But we cannot do that unless we learn how to love ourselves and how to take care of ourselves. So for me, this was very, very important, because in the energy kingdom, In the subtle energy kingdom, let's say like this, in the markets, in the sometimes this kind of energetic and spiritual market that we have outside, there are many people that say, no, if you are vibrating with love, nothing happens to you. And I say, no, that's not true. If you vibrate with love, it's not, nothing is going to happen to your soul, that's clear. But if you are with a white dress and you go into a cold mine, it doesn't matter how much love you are feeling, you are going to become black because the coal is black. So we cannot confuse the different levels of experience. So if we want to work and do our best, we have to be our best, and we have to love ourselves before we try to help other people. And this was a big warning for me that has been extremely useful, because if I'm exhausted, how can I help my children? If I'm challenged, if I'm full of fear, how can I be a peaceful place for my children to be close to? Well, here we have other just quick images that, well, in front of a hostile environment, sometimes we are with all the defenses in front of us. I know that this is my own way of understanding the images. After more than 15,000 images, I think that I can connect with the information that is there. Sometimes we just shut up, we don't say anything, and this appears like these gorgueras that we say in Spanish that were typical from the 16th century. And it makes that the image in the GDB image appears like this, and this big congestion in this chakra here in our throat, because we don't say what we need to say. And this is quite typical from our culture, and especially from women, Latin women, we don't say many things. Well, there are many images that I can show you with all the histories and the stories and everything behind that. This is quite nice. This is a person that, as you can see, the whole energy is in front of that person, but behind there is nothing. And I always say that this wasn't me, but it could have been me when I started working in a new school, that I was substituting a teacher that the students broke his nose in the middle of the class, and I was the one that was substituting him. I was in my 25th, 20 something, you know, and I was very young, and I was super insecure. But when you don't have energy that is sustaining you, your back is empty and you feel so vulnerable, so insecure, but you're not putting your whole energy in front of you. I remember myself going inside that classroom the first day and just saying silence and shut up, and being super strong and super aggressive in front of me, just because I was feeling super insecure in my own back. So little by little, I was learning how to strengthen in my spine, how to strengthen my back, so as I can also have an interaction that was much more nice and much like how can I say that, softer with people, just because I was feeling strong enough. And when you feel strong enough, you don't need to be aggressive with the rest of the people. Well, there are many other images that I think that now I'm a little bit out of time, when I'm upset, sad, emotions. So emotions are a big deal, because when I show people, when I do my workshops and say, okay, which emotion do you think is this one? And people say, yeah, probably anger. And I say, no, that's not anger. This is an extreme excitement. This was something that was saying, yes, I want to take the picture today because I'm going to break your device. I'm so full of enthusiasm. Okay, emotions are always taking us out of our comfort zone, but it's the way that we can learn. We can understand what is happening inside. How is my subconscious mind reacting to what is happening in front of me? So it's the only feedback that I have in my body to understand what is happening in me. And the important thing is not what are you feeling, but what are you going to do with what you are feeling. That's the most important thing. What are you going to do with everything that you are learning? And I want to finish just with this other image because I think that is very important. This is Gerard. Gerard was at the car, as you can see, with the GTV. And this was him at the beginning. And after half an hour, this was his energy. What happened in the middle so as he was so depleted? So what happened was that Gerard was saying, look what my girlfriend has done to me. She's a bitch because she's done this and she's now posting a picture and she's doing this and she's doing that and blah 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 and blah. She was complaining in circles like a cycle. He was just saying, she's so bad with me, she's so bad with me. She was in this circle of criticizing and complaining and being a victim. So you can see the change. So I always want to finish with this image because I think that is quite important. That is, okay, we've been observing many images about how our energy changes when we are doing this or that, when we are exposed to this or that. And I have thousands of images more than the ones that I have showed to you. But if I have to choose one that creates the most dramatic change in my energy, I'm always going to choose this one because this is not what other things from outside you are going to do in your energy. This is what you are doing to your own self all the time, that you are just cycling in complaining and in criticizing. So the best thing we can do for ourselves is knowing ourselves enough to realize which kind of things are making me stronger, which kind of things are making me weaker. And according to that, choosing a lifestyle that can help me to be always the best version of my own self. Okay, so I really hope that these images have been useful for you to understand a little bit more how just showing some images can be extremely useful for us to be more conscious about our own life. And I really wish that this has inspired you and that also encourages you to work more and more with these tools. There are many tools on the market. BioWell is one of the great tools that we have there. And I'm always here. You can contact me. This is my email. My website is anamariaoliva.es. My YouTube channel, everything has my own name, so it's very easy to find me. And here you have my books. You can find them in my website. And thank you for being there. Thank you for listening. And I hope I see you soon with the questions and answers. Have an extraordinary life. Bye.
Okay, such a wonderful lecture by Dr. Ana Maria Oliva Branes, and very inspiring one to look at our lives, at how do we live our own lives and how do we interact with other people, with our relatives, our kids, also our friends. So very good one, very good one.